Hey guys, how you doing today? I have another amazing story for you. But today we're not going to start with Jesus. We're actually going to start with some background history. Have you ever heard of the Israelites? I sure hope you say yes, because I've been telling you all about them. Well, a long time before Jesus was around, the Israelites were kind of naughty. God let them go into captivity, and many of the Israelites were taken away by the Babylonians. They were made to be slaves for 70 years. They had to work very, very hard, and they didn't have any freedom. But there were many Israelites who were left in the land. They were too poor, too sick, too old to be considered slaves. They weren't even good enough to be slaves. Well, during that time, they made friends with lots of other people. They made friends with people who lived up in the north that didn't believe in God. The Israelites still believed in God, those of whom stayed behind in Israel. They believed that God was their only God, but they didn't actually behave that way. They started to believe things that their neighbors from the north started to tell them. Do you see, these people, they worshiped many other idols, things like statues or created things. God's a creator, but they worshiped creation. They worshiped God and they worshiped things that God made: beauty, possessions, wealth, power, strength, money, food, and knowledge. So the people that stayed behind, they knew who God was, but they became known as Samaritans because they worshiped God and all of these other false gods. Well, that's not a very good thing, right? So when the Israelites came back from captivity from Babylon after those 70 years, the people who stayed behind, who were too weak and sick, they were not liked by the Israelites who came back from captivity. In fact, they fought a lot. And by the time Jesus was around, these people were enemies. The Samaritans and the Israelites. The Samaritans and the Hebrews. These were God followers. These were God plus other things. And we know that that's not right. Because the 10 Commandments tells us, number 1, worship God only. Number 2, don't have any false idols or worship anything else besides God. So there was a problem and lots of fighting, lots of hatred and dislike for the Samaritans. Well, one day, Jesus was walking in his ministry and he found a well. Do you know what a well is? A well is in the ground. You can dig down really deep and find storage underwater. Did you know there are rivers that flow underwater? It's kind of cool. In fact, the water that we find in wells is cool as well. Well, Jesus was walking in his ministry one day and he found a woman at this well. She was a Samaritan. Her heritage was people who were sad, weak, and not good enough to even be slaves. So she behaved that way as well. She made all kinds of mistakes in her life. One of which was she didn't just have one husband. She had many, many husbands. Many men that she was not loyal to, and she treated them like they were all her husbands. That's not okay. Well, this well didn't have Snow White singing at it. It had a sad Samaritan woman. Jesus spoke to this Samaritan woman, and he reminded her that he knew everything wrong that she ever did. All of the bad things, all of the good things, all of the in-between things, all of the things that she worshiped: money, power, possession, idolatry, fun, beauty, wealth, knowledge. There were lots of things in her history that she had done wrong. But Jesus said, "Woman, I know what you've done, and I still have come to love you. In fact, would you please get me a drink of water from the well?" She said, "Oh, but sir, I am just a Samaritan. Why are you talking with me? Don't you hate me just as much as all the other Jews?" See, Jesus broke down barriers. He treated everyone with love, even a woman, even a Samaritan. Most Jewish men didn't even speak to women in public, but Jesus was kind to her. And even though he asked her for water, he offered her a gift in return. He said, "I am the Messiah that you have been waiting for. The Samaritans have been waiting for the Messiah, and I am he." You see, Jesus said that he offers living water from the well. Living water is the Holy Spirit. And he told her that if she were to drink from his living water, she would never be thirsty again. Can you imagine never being thirsty? Well, that's the kind of living water that the Holy Spirit offers to us. Isn't that amazing? Well, when she heard this good news, she was so excited. In fact, she ran back to the village and told all of the people that this man knew everything she had ever done, and still he loved her. He was so happy that she told everybody, and he had been counting on it. He knew she would. And so his ministry spread, and the message of his hope of the Holy Spirit and the gospel continued to make him famous in the land.